Greetings, I'm Rodger Newbold. Welcome to episode number 30 of Experience Photography. I'll be your host today. Now, my fellow photographer, my partner, my friend, and our editor for this episode is Mr. Matt Rich. He's the man that puts all of the port in portraiture. You know, he's been coding all the ones and zeros together for this entire episode. Are you there, my friend? Excellent. I'm glad. All right. In our last vlog, we spoke about nature photography. The most oddly labeled division within the photographic arena. Nature photography overlaps the fields of, sometimes considered an overarching category, including wildlife, landscape, and home and garden photography. It covers the entire gamut of landscapes, flora, fauna, all of the beauty and all the wonder in the natural environment, including animals, plants, flowers, and everything living within it. Well, we hope it was insightful for you and that it provided some benefit to you and your work. And especially if you're in that category and you love being out in nature and photographing that type of stuff, I hope the information was excellent and it inspired you to do more. Now today, we're going to examine the Giant's Most Wanted list. Spoiler alert, that's people pictures. During the years that I worked in a retail photo store, one of the things I saw daily were the customer photos. Most of them were people in symbolic remembrances of recent events. They appeared so small and so unresponsive. They were just bodies in countless lineups, like police lineups, meaningful only to the one who took the picture. Well, portraits have been one of the leading subjects since the inception of photography. Could they be done better? Well, probably. Let's shinny up some Giant and go see how we can become better on one of our favorite subjects. Take a look at Figure A. Now, frozen forms held in place by an armature were common in the 1840s, right after photography was invented. And it was done by necessity. The lack of film speed, for shutter speeds, they were just agonizingly slow. Not seconds, not half seconds, minutes. To be immortalized in a picture was a cause for joy, but every single face looked dour and so miserable. Take a look at figure number 1. Poor old Abe. As materials revolutionized, apparently someone forgot to tell the sitters that they could actually become more normal. It wasn't until Uncle Fred yelled, "Smile!" or "Say cheese!" before somebody got the hint. Of course, it was too late then. Everybody went overboard with that thunderous hint. By the 1930s, Hollywood had spawned a new version of portraits with the big movie star glamour headshots. Yeah. The images were highly controlled. The looks, everybody started emulating that in their photographs. They were exacting facial planes, struck with meticulous lighting to create an ionic image or an iconic image that transcended the fashions and the time. Let's take a look at a couple of images from Horst P. Horst. Not his real name, but that's what he went by. In the 30s, he was great. He did some of the most fabulous work. And a lot of people copied him and copied the style. Figure number 2 is Coco Chanel. And that kind of started the big Hollywood headshots. Ooh. Now, figure number 3 is Muriel Maxwell. And it started off with, all of the kind of commercially Hollywood, get my dark glasses on. Now, in the UK, Sir Cecil Beaton, he was also doing headshots and imagery, and he copied some of the same looks, the same poses, the same kind of harsh Hollywood lighting. Let's look at number 4. Marlene Dietrich. Yeah, queen of the screen. And figure number 5, Marlon Brando. Now, figuring these were made in 1940, that's a pretty darn good shot. But these are the way that people viewed other people back in the 40s. Now we move, in our portraits from the mid-40s up through the 50s. Now, this is where it got interesting. Right after World War II, and we coming into the new era of things that were happening. The man from Ottawa, Canada, Joseph Karsh, he became the top man. He did all of his work. He covered all of the top faces for decades. During his career, Karsh held 15,312 sittings and produced over 370,000 negatives. His archive is literally the who's who of the time. Let's take a look at some of his work in figures 6 through 9. 6 is the great face of Humphrey Bogart. It's not as stiff and as formal as some of the stuff back in the 40s. We see it starting to change a little bit more humanistic. Now, let's take a look at the solid face of Winston Churchill. Churchill always biting on his old cigar. Well, Karsh went in and got everything set up. He only had a 2 or 3 minute span that he could deal with Churchill personally. So he set everything up. He put his assistant into place, lit the whole picture. Churchill comes in off of the floor addressing the Canadian Parliament, and he's chomping on his old cigar and everything, and Karsh lines him up, sets him in the right place, checks the lighting. Everything's great. And here's old Winston chomping on his cigar. Karsh reaches up there and snaps a cigar out of his mouth. And you get this solid look. That's Churchill. That was Karsh who photographed that baby. Let's take a look at 8. It's a great shot of pensive Ernest Hemingway. An interesting man, to say the least. And in figure 9, oh, what a beauty. The very innocent Audrey Hepburn. Beautiful looking work. People photography seemed to only be changing by inches, and there were lots of stale rules that were held too firmly in hand, and it was binding the imagery and kind of bringing it down. But in the 1960s, oh man, it's like a big magical spell. In the wave of a single wand, things begin to change big time. In the 60s, portraits and people, photography in general, began to change. Things began to move. people were out and about. Nikon introduced the famous 35mm f camera body right at the beginning of that era. Portraits had almost always been completed with gigantic, big, slow cameras, cloth over the head and everything, hidden photographers in a dark, deep studio, big, slow, hot lights burning your brains out. The rapid development with a smaller single lens reflex 35 matched the revolutionary times. Portability, responsiveness with small, fast lenses were all a perfect counterpart. And even battery-powered electronic flash became tamed enough to use regularly, and it was widely accepted. No more big plugs and cables and lonely dark chambers. Images could now be made where the people were, and where the people were having fun. Even Kodak, Tri-X film, jumped in its ISO up to 400 speed. Woo! Stand by. Color films became more popular and added greater realism to the portrait and people photography business. The shift was on. Color became what it was all about by the end of the decade. Attitudes changed about what a photographic portrait or people photography should become. And the boom in photography, the publication of photographs everywhere set the world on end. And there was a hasty search for all kinds of new subjects. Magazines popped up, publishing pictures of people everywhere and every place, doing all kinds of things. What a great deal. Some images became in your face. Look at the work of the impulsive Diane Arbus. Figures 10, 11, and 12. Now, unhappily, Diane suffered severely from progressive depression. And during her short life, it was a shame that she went that way. But some images were almost frightening. However, she disclosed subject matter that the public needed to be made aware of. She made people see. She made better sense of who she was and who they were. If you want to know more about Diane Arbus, I recommend a very small paperback book by Patricia Bosworth. Really worth the read. Figure 10 was a picture of Diane Arbus. Yeah, that's the one. Figure 11, you've probably seen this. The boy with a hand grenade. Odd. I love figure 12. The frightful girl. She did all kinds of strange and moving things. But in figure 13, let's look. It's moving. It's grooving. Figure 13 illustrates more fun from the 60s. Sensibilities changed. No longer were skirts and gloves and hats and purses required just to even go to the grocery store. There were more sensuous versions of the limbo than you can ever imagine. Mama didn't. She totally disapproved. If the public could do it, the camera needed to keep up. And that's why we still recommend to everybody to have a camera at your disposal. I can't tell you how many times I've mentioned this and how many times people complain, oh, I didn't have my camera. Me too. But it's always important to do so. Now it's getting better since you can have your phone. Photographer Richard Avedon, he unleashed new expressions in hairstyle, makeup, fashion wear, posing, all kinds of things. In figure 14, you see a picture of Avedon. And in picture or figure 15, we see a picture of Twiggy, the 60s iconic model. Look at this. Who would have ever thought of shooting a picture of a hat pulled down and only one eye protruding? What a great shot. It brought new things to mind, new ways of seeing, great ways of making photographs. And this one of Mia Farrow in 16, I loved it. Yep. Take a look at figure 16B. You've got to blame the 60s. Things were moving. Photography expanded through the 60s, and to clarify that people could be seen in many different interests. We see in figure 17 and 18 the intense use of people. But we're going to do more coverage on street photography in a future episode. But we can see that figure 17, I am a man, things began to get really different and important, and photography played a big part in that. 18, the protesters, how it made people's pursuits known. Yep, that was the 60s. Well, we hop into the 70s and 80s. Things became a little more romantic. It began to find its way into people pictures. Over the next 2 decades, we had an awful lot of soft imagery depicting a fluent, more desirable life. People pictures became more popular. Examples in figure 19 and 20 by David Hamilton kind of led the movement. He had a number of books out with the soft focus, glowing, very delicate people work. We see in figure 19 the girl with the hat. In figure 20, getting prepared for the dance. Well, one of my favorite photographers, Robert Farber, picked up on that, and he echoed that stylish, romantic look in many of his works and in his ads and in his commercial stuff. Let's look at figures 21 through 24 for a second. 21 is woman with a child. We see things starting to get less psychedelic color, more tame color, a little softer. Everything became interesting. We see in 22 the man with the white hat. In 23 we see the girls on the beach and how things become extraordinary. And I love this ad for Jeffrey Bean shoes. The couple in the train station saying goodbye. Wow. Farber, good work. I love it. You do nice work. In the 90s, we get several new looks beginning to appear. It marked the 90s. I don't know. Not my style. But we get the Batman-approved shocking mullet hairstyle seen in figure 25. Wow! Then we see the stylish punk rock look. It became a big hit. Everyone, they wanted to be immortalized in an abstracted costume. In cool types of clothes. We look at figure 26. Look at the, what is it? Overly posed? Not. The highly posed? I don't know. Anyway, we can forget that. And the beginnings of today's style begin to pop out, but that by the end of the 90s, we get in figure 27, the grunge look. Everyone had to have a portrait like one of these stashed in the back of their closet somewhere. Holy cow. You can still get a look like that today. It's there. It was in vogue back then. Well, this has been an extremely quick trip through 5 decades of trends in people photography. As the Beatles sang in the 60s, there are places I'll remember all my life, though some have changed. Some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All these places had their moments. With lovers and friends, I can still recall. Some are dead and some are living. But in my life, I loved them all. My friends, our time is up for this trip. I hope that you had a great scene through today and see some of our favorite subject matter and how it changed over a period of time. It was back in the day. But next time you get a chance to photograph family, friends, loved ones, please do a better job. No more unidentifiable police lineups. Please consider doing something great. More like the master Arnold Newman. Hey, look at his picture. Climb up on Arnold's shoulders. He won't mind. Heck, he'll cheer you on. He had the gruffest facade ever, but he was great. Exude class. Present style. No excuses. Show everyone who's the head honcho with the camera. You can blinden yourself by treasuring every day and seeing these things differently. Each day brings its own miracle, and it's as simple as paying attention to the miracle. Keep your eyes open. Watch for things that happen. Be ready to respond. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe. That helps us out. Share it with your friends. Let them know that you don't have to crash and make every foible mistake that ever happened. We've done it. We're adding to your knowledge and information. Make it happen for you faster. Give us a big thumbs up. Tinkle that bell. Yell wahoo! Now, Matt and I hope we've given you the benefit of many years of our experience photography and that you have enjoyed it. We'll be seeing you here back again soon. And my friends, a tip of my hat to you, and cheerio.